Thoughts from Daddy's Girl by Beth Pratt. I started life in 1974 firmly in the camp of Daddy's Girl. My father was working to support our family and finishing his bachelor's degree when I was born, but he always spent time with me. He read to me, played games with me, carried me around on his shoulders. Big surprise, my first word was dada. Of course, the normal ups and downs of teenage rebellion, young adult growth away from home, and some philosophical differences gave us the standard issue bumps in the road, but I was always a daddy's girl. And while he never has loved that I now live about 5 hours north of their home, he's proud of me and the work I get to do in my adopted hometown. Dad is sort of retired now, running a vintage Husqvarna motorcycle business, keeping as active as always at 76 years old. In 2022, he found the deterioration of his knees increasingly difficult to manage with injections and braces and ice. The time had come for replacements. He had surgery in the summer of 2023 with great results on his first knee. His second knee was scheduled for 8 months later. His physical therapy went well, his strength built back quickly, and always full of humor. His mood was excellent. The pain was gone in that knee. Then he had a blood clot. Not a big deal, but it was a bit of a setback. He had to pause his therapy, take blood thinners, and report to his physician regularly. But it resolved and therapy continued. But his energy seemed sapped after this event. His knee was fine, in fact, a perfect example of a good replacement installation. His doctor reminded him he had just had major surgery, followed by the blood clot. Of course he was feeling fatigued. Give it time. It was not post-operative fatigue, though. The surgery had opened the door for his as yet undetected lung cancer, now at stage 4, metastasized throughout his body, with tumors appearing in organs, bones, and his neurological system. As a family, we found out over Thanksgiving weekend. It looked dire. He was losing weight rapidly, developed a constant cough, and edema was impacting his chest cavity and his joints. Would he decline so far before treatment options were identified that treatment would be moot? Would there be a treatment less awful than full-blown chemotherapy? What would he and mom decide was best? And how was this daddy's girl supposed to process far too quickly the mortality and impending awfulness of cancer and cancer treatment? Sobbing in the shower was perhaps a reasonable reaction, if not particularly helpful. Besides, what in the world could I do to help? I am too far away and full-time employed to be a taxi service cook or household helper. My mom is quite capable of managing their household. She's the best homemaker ever to make a home, in my opinion. But I wanted to be there, be with my parents, my brother, all of my family. And there are a lot of us. I made extra weekend trips just to be present, to take mom out to shop for an hour, to visit with dad about a book we both love, or development with the James Webb Telescope, to spend time with them both. For almost 20 years, I have made a point to be present for major holidays and visit about 6 times a year. Between the 1st of November and the 1st of January, I was in Portland 4 times. One thing I could try to help with was dad's appetite and weight loss. I found a marijuana dispensary with a nurse and a pharmacist on staff and scheduled an appointment. She helped me find some tools and resources to suggest to dad and some for me. In moments like this, you take whatever help you can find. It was on December 20th that we learned he would have medication therapies available to him. His course of treatment began in early January. It took weeks before the medication demonstrated its impact. He had some blood work results that halted treatment on a couple of occasions. But through those first months, my parents were a diligent team, taking appointments with patient navigators, consultants, the oncologist, the orthopedist, and dad started to improve. By June of 2024, he had seen such dramatic impacts from his therapies. His oncologist graduated him from monthly scans and meetings to quarterly appointments. His tumors were shrinking. His edema was better managed. His overall health was improved. Dad still has stage 4 lung cancer, but now it has slowed it down, and we have some time. You never know how much time, with or without cancer, but right now we are going to take the win. But what about this daddy's girl? It took me a couple of months to get the dread, depression, and anxiety under control. I asked my husband to take up extra household tasks. My brain was too full to manage it. I prepared to jump to Oregon at any time, working on contingency plans should I need to work remotely. And I set aside all travel plans, saving my PTO for when I may be needed. But mostly, I tuned into my parents with more closeness than normal. And that is saying something. My mom is my best forever friend, and we talk and text regularly. But now I make a point of calling when I think I'll catch them both so we can all visit over breakfast or lunch. I found non holiday reasons to pack up and head south to visit, and I made myself available for any family member who wanted to ask questions but didn't want to bother mom with one more call. We of Generation X are in the squeeze, caught between aging parents, our own needs, and the needs of our children, should we have them, our jobs, and our households. I am one of the lucky ones. My parents have means to care for themselves. My brother is close by, as are all 8 of my nieces and nephews. Without children of my own, my personal squeeze is not so bad. My heart breaks for families without the means to pay for care, for children so estranged that both they and their parents are left alone. Our family has a lot going right, even as we face something going terribly wrong. For now, with a positive prognosis and time to spend together, our tight-knit family is staying in close contact. The folks keep me up to date on their news as well as all their grandchildren. I tell them tales of being a Chamber of Commerce director in a small town. And I'm looking at hotel rates over the coming weeks to schedule a visit between holiday weekends soon. Beth Pratt, Executive Director, Sequim Dungeness Valley Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Information Center, 360-683-6197, www.sequimchamber.com. All photos courtesy of Cecile Pratt, Beth Pratt, and her dad, Dave.